What's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. This time I'm here with Shenron's Lair owner, Markus Kantarci. How you doing tonight, Markus?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. So you had an excellent finish at the Chicago Celebration event. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you did?
Yeah, I had a really successful weekend, both in teams and singles. In teams, we got, fourth place, and in singles, I got third again. And yeah, I played Super Shenron leader, and I did fairly well. I think I dropped maybe three matches throughout the whole entire weekend. I was pretty much dominating the whole entire competition, to be honest.
Dang, so you felt like really strong with this deck, huh? So what made you want to play this deck originally?
It's funny because I did have a Super Shenron deck built similar to this, but I was kind of focusing on Haida Mastery and Victory Strike, where I would try to bring out Haida Mastery on 4, take an extra turn, then go into Victory Strike and kill my opponent. And then that very same weekend in Charlotte, Danny Wynn debuted the Super Shenron version that he had, and I saw him play it, and I was like, wow, this guy knows his stuff, and he's doing it right. And from there, I kind of made a few tweaks and improved on it a little bit. And I've been talking to him a lot about it as well. So shout out to Danny. He's been helping me out a lot with it. Definitely owe him a big part of my success from this weekend.
Awesome. So this deck has been the point of contention for a lot of debate. A lot of people really like set 6, but a lot of people think that this is probably the most degenerate or broken thing to come out of the set. So in terms of how broken the deck is, how do you feel about it?
I think it's absolutely broken. I do think it's beatable for sure. So it's not like it's a tier 0 deck that has no answers. It has answers. It does, but I think against any regular deck out there, it just destroys it, and it's not even close. Like any red deck, for example, right now I feel like red decks are really fair, where they kind of start popping off on 4 or 5 energy. It just destroys it, and it's really not close. I mean, I didn't lose to a red deck all weekend long, and I think the only time I dropped a game against a red deck was when I made a big misplay myself. But the deck itself, it's really strong, and for non-gameplay reasons, I feel like it should probably be hit, just because of the fact that it takes you like 25-30 minutes sometimes to do your turn 2 and turn 3. There's just so many actions that you're taking. I really don't enjoy playing it that much, because it's really tiring and stressful, and it's not fun.
I see. So not even from like the gameplay perspective, like you said, like just because it makes the games take so much longer, and like when you take your skip turn, your opponent doesn't get to play for what, like 25-30 minutes, right?
Right, exactly. The deck plays with a lot of filter cards. So, like, you use leader, search Dragon Balls. Okay, draw a couple times. Oh, I drew into a Successor of Hope. Let me play Successor of Hope. Get my Bardock. I played Bardock. Oh, I got, another Successor of Hope. Do the Successor of Hope again. Child's Wish, play Bulma. It's just, you do so many things that next thing you know, it's like 20 minutes is gone. And that's why I don't like it. And that's why I feel like it should be hit. But from a balance perspective, it's absolutely beatable. There are answers for it. So it's not broken, like I said. But yeah.
Just to give the people a little bit of hope, if someone's like really looking at this deck and saying, "Wow, this is dumb," what are some of the cards that, like, when you play Super Shenron and you see these cards across the table from you, what are some of the cards that make that scare you when you play this deck?
If I see stuff like Borgos or Wheeze, the 1-drop yellow version of Borgos, those hurt. Dark Power Mass Sane hurts a lot. So a lot of the Silver Bullet 1-drops really hurt you, but we do main deck some answers for it. So at the end of the day, really, you as Super Shenron have answers to every counter, so it's not too bad for you.
Right. So it's just a matter of who draws the answer and who draws the answer to the answer, right?
Correct.
Gotcha. So we'll get into the main deck. So 7 Dragon Balls. Did you ever feel like you needed any other types of Dragon Balls?
No, and initially I was testing out with the 2 Super Dragon Balls, just one of as a 2-drop, but I decided to take it out. It's great to take out to put your Bulmas into discard pile and stuff, but your 2 energy is just too valuable. So 7 regular Dragon Balls it is.
Gotcha. So we have the radars, the Child's Wish, like the soul, heart and soul of the deck, super combos, 2 Crisis Crusher, and then you main deck the 1 Bardock Fully Unleashed. Was this like just because you knew you're gonna see a lot of green Broly or what?
Yeah, I felt like going into the event that I would see a lot of Green Brawly. And Green Brawly gives you trouble because, when you go for that kill shot, they have their, popping ability with their turn 6 Brawly or their turn 8 Brawly, or they could just kill any battle card for 1 discard from their hand. So they give you a lot of trouble. You can't just play Mira, Champa, and go for game. You can't do that. So I teched that 1 Bardock to kind of remove their 6-drop Brawly from play. And then if they put in play the 8-drop, then they kind of get a -3 from hand. And so now theoretically they would be like at 3-4 cards in their hand. And then if I swung with Bardock and they kill it with its ability, then they'd be minus another card from their hand and got rid of their ability. So it would kind of like create multiple pluses for me by playing that single Brawly. But over the weekend, I didn't face many Brawlies. I faced only 2, but I did play Bardock against them, and it did help.
Nice. And the funny thing about this deck is that because you literally see your entire deck by turn 2, turn 3, so like you're playing such low numbers of cards, but you see them all the time, which is really funny to me.
Yeah.
And then we have the 1 Mira, the 1 Fu. Do you ever feel like you needed any more of these guys?
No, I think it was just the right number, if not sometimes too much. Ideally, you want to overwhelm twice on your turn 3 and your turn 4 when you take the extra turn. But it's really hard to set up. I had a lot of trouble setting that up. But most of the time, just 1 was enough as well. 1 Scientist Fu is usually really good.
Gotcha. And then we got the Supreme Kais, the Successors, Double Bad Ring, 1 Nimbus main board, 3 Bardock, and then 1 Ox King. So the rest of that stuff's pretty standard, but talk about the 1 Ox King. What did you want this for?
Yeah, so once again for the Brawling matchup, if I were to swing with a Bulma for game, if I had like a Chomp in my hand and I want to swing for game, I would drop the Ox King first and then swing with the Bulma, and then this way I ensure that Bulma is safe from the Brawly's popping ability, so I could just freely dump my hand onto the Bulma and go for game. That was the theory behind it, but a lot of smart Brawly players are out there, and every time I drop them, on my next attack, they will play Shocking Death Ball and kill the Ox King. So that was very unfortunate. So he didn't come into play that much, but he's also good against red and the red negates. If you're afraid of is that all you got or after image, you could play him and then swing with your Bulma or your Goku. And if they do decide to play one of those negates, they have to target the Ox King only. And so it kind of works out in your favor.
Yeah, the more you talk about this deck, the more it seems like it absolutely obliterates red. And then we have the 1 Grandpa, the 4 Ambition, the 3 Goku, and then you main deck the 1 Dynasty Gohan. Was this kind of just to make space for like the height package in the sideboard, or was there another reason to main deck this card?
Yeah, it was mainly for that. In my side deck, I do have the height package, and I tried to save some, real estate. So I figured I could go with a 3-1 split because I see so many of my cards anyway.
Right.
And especially with Successor of Hope, I could get whichever one I need. So most of the time, game 1, the Dynasty Gohan was just energy, really. But sometimes it comes into play too. It's like if you need that barrier attacker, he's important. So
right, just for playing around Green Broly too. Like if you need a barrier attacker, exactly. Then the 4 Bulma, and then the 1 Source Power. Now I know this card you said was like an MVP all weekend. So did you wish you played more of this card, or was 1 okay?
Yeah, thinking about it, I would probably play 2. Source of Power is really good because you could swap into it from your 2-drop Goku or your Gohans for energy. So for 2 yellow, you swap into your Source of Power, and if you play Source of Power on your turn 3 and you decide to take your extra turn, you're getting 4 20k attacks from Source of Power from just 1 card. So for 2 yellow energy, you're getting 4 20k attacks, and the value you get from it is just insane. I mean,
yeah, and you're also getting 2 to 4 cards off your life.
Right, exactly. So he's like the perfect finisher. He sets you up for that final push. I want to say like 80-90% of the time that if I played Source of Power on my turn 3 somehow and then I took my extra turn that turn, I was winning that game. The opponent over 2 turns can't defend 420k attacks and then another like 6-8 Bulma attacks. They just can't defend against all that.
Yeah, that's huge. And just for anyone who doesn't know, whenever you take your skip turn with Super Shenron, you want to go down to 1 life just to get as many cards as you can. So like that's what you have Bardock for. It's what you have Source of Power for. Just anyone who didn't know that. So we'll go into the sideboard. We have the extra Crisis Crusher. This is just for anyone who sides in the hate against you, right? Like the 1-drop Black Mass Sand or the Borgos.
Right. Yeah, the Crisis Crusher, I mean, you really need it against skillless Goku, and you kind of expect a lot of people to side in the Borgos, so you would also side it in for that. But there are some games that I would take it out, like I think against Red Baby, I took them out because I didn't expect them to side in anything.
Right.
And I want to say, I forgot if it was in my top 16 match or not. I played against Devin, and I think he was playing Pan, and I sided Crisis Crusher out, I believe, because I was like, oh, he's playing Pan. He's not going to play anything. He doesn't have Borgos or Whis. He has nothing, so there's no need for Crisis Crusher. And then he sided in Dark Power Messian, and I was like, well,
that's pretty good.
I have no answer. Yeah. So one of the games that happened to me, and that kind of sucked. So I leave Crisis Crusher in all the time now because you just never know what's going to happen.
Right, exactly. And then the extra Mira. So you said that the Mira and the Fu were good enough, but what did you want the extra Mira for?
Yeah, so if I didn't play against Brawly, I would side out the Bardock, and then I would just side in an extra Mira.
Okay.
And it's also really good against skill lists where if they have a massive hand, Mira kind of gets around that. So against skill lists, I would play Scientist Fu, which is great, and I draw 2, but it doesn't close the gap between our hand size that much. So I would put in the extra Mira and take out Bardock, and sometimes I'd even take out Fu too, because 2 to 3 overall max is all you really want.
Gotcha. And then the extra Flying Nimbus. So I guess we can talk about the Mirror match a little bit here. But what else did you bring the extra Nimbus in against for?
I would bring it against Brawly, Skillless, Mirror Match. So basically everything, right? So I kind of should main it, but I think 2 is a little too much sometimes. But Nimbus is really good against Skillless when they go wide and you can't stop it because the deck has no board removal. So if Skillless goes first, and let's say I don't have my pieces set up for an extra turn, and the game goes like 1 turn longer, that's another 30k beater they're getting on the board. And so Nimbus kind of helps mitigate some of that damage.
Gotcha. And then the Mirror match, I remember you telling me it goes like stalemate forever because both players like afraid to go in, right?
Right, yeah. So I played against Danny Hype in the singles tournament in round 3, and game 1 we literally went to 6 energy, and we were just charging, passing, because we both don't want to use our ultimates because we both know that the other player will just Nimbus and make you waste your ultimate. So we were both holding on to as many Nimbus and as many battle rings as we can, and we don't want to tap anything either, so we leave 2 yellow open for Nimbus and battering, and we just both kept doing it, and finally I bited and I just went for it, and next thing you know, yeah, he had more Nimbus and batterings than I did, and he took it.
Yeah, the Mirror match sounds pretty degenerate. And then the extra Ox King, what did you want that for?
Once again for Brawly or Red decks, I figured if I could double Ox King, it'd be the best protection, right? So
Right.
I'd have no fear from Brawly, but it really didn't come in clutch at all. So yeah, I wouldn't play that extra Ox King.
And then finally we have the package that I think it's fair to say put in the most work, the Height of Mastery package. So talk about how it came to this kind of conclusion and how it performed for you all weekend.
Yeah, so playing with this deck, I played against I think Brian Samuel's skillless deck, and I would just get destroyed. And I see his hand size is massive, and it made me think, as good as Super Shenron is, like you just can't close the gap for skillless because your 15k attacks don't mean anything because they have a massive hand. And their hand is full of 5ks. So I thought about, well, I need to go really tall and really big attacks then. So I remember, testing with Victory Strike, and that was good against it. So I told myself, well, maybe I should just side in the Height of Mastery package. And I came to that conclusion. That's why I put in the Dynasty Gohans in the main board as well. And with Successor of Hope, you get to your Path of Greatness very easy. You always end up having a Height of Mastery in your hand with 3. And so basically against Skillless, I just swap into him. I tap them out, and then, basically 2 35k triple strike attacks. But over 2 turns, that's 4 35k triple strike attacks. And that's usually enough to do the trick against Skillless.
Yeah, I mean, that's 12 damage right there. And, just even though that height is super powerful, I think the surprise factor probably caught most people off guard. So how much work does this put in for you all weekend, like against pretty much the meta?
Yeah, it was great. It won me a ton of games. I can't recommend it enough, to be honest. I think out of all the games I played against Skillless, I think there were probably a lot of matches where I lost game 1, and then game 2 and 3 I would win because of the height package. They were not prepared for it. I don't know if they played Mafuba or not, but Mafuba really hurts it. I mean, they could always Senzubin and Mafuba. That was a really big fear of mine. But I also do have Bad Ring as well. So, yeah, Height of Mastery did a lot of work for me. I'm even thinking about putting Victory Strike in here, to be honest.
Nice. So one of the things to talk about this deck was that, even though Danny Nguyen kind of spoiled it at Charlotte, it was still pretty new and people weren't quite sure how to play against it. So now that people know about it much more, how do you feel about the future of this deck?
Yeah, so I'm kind of worried, to be honest. I think if a lot of people main deck the silver bullets, such as Dark Power Massane or Borgos, then you're going to have a lot of trouble. You do main 2 Crisis Crusher, but once again, it comes down to drawing them. Like once in that game I played against Danny Hype, in our game 2, he drew all his silver bullets and he played all of them at once. So he had like 3-4 of them out. And I had 1 Crisis Crusher out, and I charged my other, thinking 1 was enough, and I couldn't get through all his silver bullets because he just had so many of them. So, even though you main these answers, it may be the case where they don't necessarily work. There was another Gogeta player I played against where, he played Borgos on me, and I just didn't draw Crisis Crusher, and he took that game. So it happens. You don't draw it, and that's what I'm kind of scared of, that everybody's going to play with it. So every game, I'm going to have to be forced to mulligan for a Crisis Crusher, and if I don't draw it, I'm in for a rough time.
Gotcha. Well, Markus, thank you for the deck profile. Any final shout-outs, any final thoughts on the event, anything you want to get out there to the people?
Yeah, the event was great. Shout out to, ARG for hosting a really great event. Shout out to, both you and Jose for doing excellent at teams, and we had a great time. Shout out to everybody who helped me build this deck. I messaged so many people online, whether it's Danny, Brian Samuel, Zach Waldron. I messaged so many people asking for help, and they were all willing to help me. So shout out to those guys.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Thanks for watching that video. If you'd be so kind to drop a sub, maybe check out some of our videos. If the end card is even there, the hardest part of doing YouTube is not the editing, it's not the videos, it's not the content creation, it's that YouTube just doesn't want to work sometimes. So hopefully that stuff is there. You guys are awesome. I'll see you in the next one.